On Global TV News Express, President Tinubu says ready to take tough decisions even if they make him unpopular. Tribunal affirms PDP's Mufwang as Plateau governor, dismisses APC's petition. President Ruto highlights global challenges spurs world leaders, plus Nigerian Cricket Federation donates equipment to states. Hello and a very warm welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to Global TV News Express live in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. I am Chidima Jawa saying thanks for joining us. President Bola Tinubu yesterday told United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres that he was prepared to make tough decisions even if they could make him temporarily unpopular, as long as the outcomes address challenges such as poverty, hunger, among others, that had stunted economic growth in Nigeria. According to a statement by the president's media advisor, Ajuwi Ngolali, Tinubu made the assertion at the UN headquarters in New York when he spoke with Guterres. The president declared that African nations would no longer accept a situation in which human rights advocacy was used by developed countries to stop developing economies from dealing decisively with actors who illicitly siphoned and smuggled out the continent's vast mineral resources. He said such individuals smuggled in Western-made weapons and enriched the wealthiest economies in the world at the expense of Africa's stability and wealth creation. He frowned on a situation where 70% of the resources devoted to the world's poorest countries were spent and sent back out on overboards and administrative costs, which defeated their purpose. President Bola Tinubu, in an address to Nigerians living in the United States, has stated the importance of their presence back in the country, urging them to forget the frustration of the previous year's leadership. During a town hall meeting organized by the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, on the sidelines of the 78th UN General Assembly session in New York on Wednesday night, Tinubu encouraged Nigerians abroad to adopt a success-oriented mindset to overcome challenges in their pursuits. The meeting organized by NIDCOM provided a platform for President Tinubu to share his insights and advice with the Nigerian diaspora community in the U.S. Vice President Kashim Shettima is expected to declare open a two-day leadership retreat for principal officers of the National Assembly in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. The retreat will be attended by the principal officers of the Senate and House of Representatives, as well as some former Senate presidents and House of Representatives speakers. The Senate and the House of Representatives have 10 principal officers each that form the management of each chamber. They are Majority Leader, Deputy Majority Leader, Chief Whip, Deputy Chief Whip, Minority Leader, Deputy Minority Leader, Minority Whip and Deputy Minority Whip, in addition to the Speaker and Deputy Speaker, as well as the Senate President and Deputy Senate President. It is expected that during the retreat, the principal officers are expected to brainstorm on ways to move the legislature forward while avoiding working at cross purposes. The two-week ultimatum issued by the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Nyesom Wike, for those owing ground rents to pay up or have their property revoked has led to the recovery of 1 billion naira in 1 month. Since the directive, the headquarters of the Abuja Geographic Information Systems, AGIS, has become a beehive of activities as property owners rush to pay their debts. The acting director of the AGIS, Ishaku Ndatu Alpha, stated that there has been a surge in payment of ground rent since the minister threatened revocation and commenced publication of the debtors. Ndatu said collections from June to July were at the lowest, but immediately after the minister's order in August, ground rent earnings rose to 500 million naira and increased steadily to over 1 billion naira. He said by September 17, 2023, ground rent had generated precisely 1.9 billion naira, and the figure is estimated to double by the end of the month. Alpha stated that with the planned introduction of an online payment portal for the collection of ground rent, certificates of occupancy, CFO, and other transactions would be easier, and more money is collected by AGIS. He disclosed that the online payment app was already developed and an official launch was expected by the FCT minister before the end of this year. The director said the platform will make it possible for people to pay from the comfort of their home. A former president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Olisa Agbakoba-San, has applauded President Bola Tinubu's inaugural speech at the 78th United Nations General Assembly session, stating that the President Tinubu delivered a significant policy speech. President Tinubu, in his address, emphasized the imperative for Africa to overcome the constraints of foreign exploitation and unlock its vast potential while achieving the prosperity of the region through democratic ideals. Reacting, Agbakoba on his verified X page said a well-received statement at UNGA. Never in the history of UNGA has an African president spoken to the entire African continent, asserting that we are not beggars but equal partners with the political blocs of the world. The Governorship Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Enugu State has upheld the election of Governor Peter Mbah of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in March 18th governorship election. The three-member panel of the tribunal, led by Justice Kudirat Morayo, dismissed the petitions of the Labour Party and its candidate Chijoke Edoga, insisting that they could not prove their petitions. In dismissing the petition, the tribunal declared that the National Youth Service Corps discharge certificate is not a qualification to contest a governorship election. Edoga is challenging the return of Mbah as duly elected governor of Enugu State on grounds of submitting a forged NYSC discharge certificate over voting, amongst others. Meanwhile, the Plateau State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal on Friday affirmed Caleb Mufwang as the duly elected governor of the state. A three-member panel of the tribunal, led by Justice Sunday, dismissed the petition filed by the All Progressives Congress and its governorship candidate, Netawa Yutwalda, delivered the judgment on Friday morning. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) declared Mufwang of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) the winner of the March 18th governorship election with 525,299 votes, beating 17 other candidates, including Yotwatda, who pulled 481,317 votes. Yotwada and his party APC had approached the tribunal to disqualify Mufwang and declare him the winner of the election while claiming to have polled the highest valid votes cast. The petitioners insisted that Mufwang was not validly nominated by his party to stand for election, as his party lacked the structure to do so. The petitioners equally challenged the victory of the PDP governor over an alleged overvoting in the scores recorded for him by INEC. However, delivering the judgment, the tribunal held that Yotwada and his party failed to prove their case. The commandant of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Olusola Odumosu, has reiterated agency's commitment to flush out criminal elements, especially pipeline vandals and scavengers in the Federal Capital Territory (FCT). Kikelomo Okere reports that Odumosu stated this while parading 5 suspects who were alleged to have been involved in illegal oil bunkering and power cable vandalism in Abuja.
Yes, Federal Capital Territory have been polluted due to uncontrollable influx of so-called scavengers and destitute. The Commandant's National Security and Civil Defense Corps, Olusola Odumosu, says the Corps will leave no stone unturned to sanitize the Federal Capital Territory, sending a note of warning to those who do not have any business in the Federal Capital Territory to evacuate the territory.
His Excellency Gisom Wike, CON, directing the command to flush out as quickly as practicable all forms of vandals and other criminal activities within the metropolis and its environs. The command has taken some proactive measures in carrying out this indispensable task and clamping down on miscreants, and we have traced some of them to their various hideouts and hibernations and exposing them to the public. It is on this ground that this command, through credible intelligence, apprehended 2 persons at Pai in Kwali Area Council in possession of 16 jerry cans of petroleum products suspected to be crude oil. Investigation is in progress in order to ascertain the source of the products and possibly x-ray the man behind the mask.
Also, the command, through credible intelligence, apprehended 2 persons at Pei in Kwali Area Council in the Federal Capital Territory in possession of 16 jerrycans of product suspected to be crude oil. Other suspects paraded were involved in vandalizing armor cable belonging to the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation and dislodging of flat-screen television from Maitama General Hospital in Abuja.
Conducting 24 hours surveillance and patrol, and therefore we want to warn that anyone caught will be decisively dealt with according to the law. We have sent warnings to everyone, especially the scavengers and everyone that do not have any business in Abuja, to please leave FCT or face the wrath of the law, because NSCDC FCT Command will come after you, will arrest you, will prosecute you according to the law, and you'll regret the decision you took by coming to FCT while you have no business. And for all those who sleeps under the bridges, posing to be destitute, I want to warn you that the bridge is a critical infrastructure that is meant for a very useful purpose and not an hibernation for you or for any of your syndicates to sleep under.
NSCDC have the mandate of protecting the critical national assets and infrastructure. Udumosu added that suspects will be prosecuted on completion of investigation. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News, Abuja.
The Delta State House of Assembly has called for the enforcement of relevant laws for the arrest and prosecution of those involved in open sex trade and use of illicit drugs in the state. The House, at plenary presided by the Speaker in Momotimi Guwo, expressed concern over the rising incidences of unholy and unwholesome acts among the youths in the state, particularly Asaba and its environs, even as it stressed the need for urgent government action. The resolution was equal to a motion brought on the floor of the House by the member representing Oshimili South, Bridget Anyamfulu, and amended by the Majority Leader, Emeka Nwobi, who represents Anyocha North. The Assembly in the resolution called on Governor Sheriff Oborevori to, as a matter of necessity, direct the Commissioner for Women Affairs, Community and Social Development, as well as law enforcement agencies, to rise up to the situation to curb the ugly trend. The Assembly advanced the need for routine campaigns and sensitization programs, including placement of posters and signage in strategic places to educate and raise awareness on the dangers associated with commercial sex trade and use of illicit drugs. The Lagos State Police Command has justified the use of tear gas by its men to disperse fans of the late rapper Ilerioluwa Oladimeji Aloba, aka Mohbad, who converged at the Lekki toll gate on Thursday for a candlelight procession. According to police, Muri Okunola Park in Victoria Island was the approved venue of the procession, but after it ended at 8 p.m. at the approved venue as agreed with the organizers, some persons with ulterior motives converged at Lekki toll gate, obstructing vehicular movement. The command spokesperson Benjamin Hundeyin, in a statement shared via his X handle on Friday, said the use of tear gas was a last resort, stressing that the police and organizers of the candlelight procession pleaded with those who converged at Lekki toll gates to vacate the road for hours, but they didn't oblige. He said no life was lost, neither was there any injury, as they adopted crowd management best practices in engaging the unruly crowd. And on the foreign scene, lawyers of the coup-toppled president of Niger, Mohamed Bazoum, have said he has appealed to a court of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, to free him. Bazoum was overthrown by members of his presidential guard on July 26th and has been detained at home with his wife and child since. His Senegalese lawyer Seydou Dagne said that he filed a lawsuit with the West African Bloc's court based in Abuja. the Nigerian capital on September 18th. The lawsuit, according to Dagny, invokes his arbitrary arrest and the violation of freedom of movement. Niger's coup leaders have declared their intention to prosecute the democratically elected Bazoum for high treason and undermining internal and external security. Analysts and observers believe the coup plotters are using Niger's meager financial resources, including by extorting Sonidep, the national petrol company, and diverting customs taxes to put people on the streets and give the illusion of popular support. You're watching Global TV News Express, coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. One Star Times Channel 276. Kindly follow us across social media platforms using @Global TV NG and other handles now showing on your screen. When the News Express returns, Vice President Shettima assures on May 2024 delivery date for Abuja Light Rail project. We'll be back with details of these and other stories right after the short break. Please don't go away. This is Global Television bringing you live broadcast of the News Express from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Kenyan President William Ruto has on Thursday delivered a thought-provoking speech at the United Nations General Assembly (UNGA), warning about the world's dangerous trajectory and the critical role of multilateralism in averting catastrophe. He particularly expressed his concerns about the world's current trajectory, emphasizing the critical need for multilateralism, international collective action, and global solidarity to address the pressing challenges humanity faces today.
In his opening address, our Secretary General provided a graphic snapshot of the condition of the world and humanity, a situation that calls into question the state of multilateralism in terms of its founding aspirations as well as its present agenda. The poverty, fear, suffering, and humanitarian distress haunting the victims of conflict, drought, famine, flooding, wildfires, cyclones, deadly disease outbreaks, and other disasters are the outcomes of sustained violation of the most essential principles and the systemic neglect of humanity's dearest values, which lie at the very foundation of the UN Charter.
The Kenyan president, who has been in office for a year, cited the UN Secretary General's depiction of the world's condition, highlighting the stark contrast between the ideals of multilateralism and the current state of affairs. He outlined the profound challenges facing humanity and emphasized the urgent need for global cooperation and solidarity, without which, he said, the world will suffer.
Of pervasive mistrust between the global north versus the global south, developed versus developing, rich versus poor, polluters versus victims, and net emitters versus net victims, which complicate and frustrates multilateralism, is the inevitable result of promises not kept, commitments not actualized, resolutions not honored, and principles not observed. Multilateralism has been failed by abuse of trust, negligence, and impunity.
Meanwhile, relations between India and Canada have further deteriorated after it was announced that Delhi was suspending visa services for Canadians. BLL's International, which runs the Indian visa offices in Canada, put a notice on its website stating that all visa services for Canadians were suspended until further notice, citing operational reasons. It was the latest retaliatory move by India's foreign minister in response to Justin Trudeau's allegation this week that there was credible evidence Delhi had been involved in the murder of a Sikh activist in British Columbia in June. India rejected the allegations as absurd, and in the aftermath, the two countries engaged in a tit-for-tat expulsion of top diplomats. On Wednesday, India updated its travel advisory for Canada, warning its citizens residing and traveling in the country to take extreme caution due to growing anti-India activities and politically condoned hate crimes in Canada. Latest retaliatory move is response to Justin Trudeau's claims of India's involvement in Sikh activists' killing. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has met with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky and the First Lady on the runway in Ottawa. It comes after increasing doubts from international partners over how it should continue providing aid to Kyiv. Zelensky arrived from Washington, where he had hoped to secure further funding, but it is unclear if U.S. Congress will back more aid. Earlier in the week, he urged the world leaders to continue to support Ukraine to help fight off Russian forces at the United Nations in New York. Diplomatic tensions are on the rise after President Zelensky criticized Poland, Slovakia, and Hungary for banning imports of Ukrainian grain. Vice President Kashim Shettima on Wednesday revealed that the China Civil Engineering Construction Corporation (CCECC) has pledged to complete the Abuja Light Rail project in May 2024. Stanley Wokocha, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Communications, Office of the Vice President, in a statement said Shettima extracted the commitment from the management of CCECC when its chairman Jason Zhang paid him a courtesy visit at the presidential villa. The vice president said the move was in line with the determination of President Tinubu's administration to enhance infrastructural development across the country. He stated that the Abuja Rail project, like others, remains dear to President Bola Tinubu and the Nigerian people. Shettima described the company as part of Nigeria's history, noting that the Chinese construction giant has played a pivotal role in developing Nigeria's landmark projects. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Economic Summit (NESG) has said Nigeria imports as an estimated average of 952,380 plastics and plastic products annually from different parts of the world. Chair of the Technical Subcommittee of the 29th NESG, Uzufo Ugemudia, said Nigeria is one of the largest consumers of plastics in Africa, stating that the country imported an estimated 20 million tons of primary plastics and plastic products between 1996 and 2017. And this is projected to reach 40 million tons by 2030. Ogemudia reiterated that the high volume of plastic use in the country points to the importance of considering the effects it may have on people and the environment. Represented by the Director General, National Environmental Standards and Regulations Enforcement Agency, NASERA, Aliyu Jaro, said, for sustainable development and management of waste to wealth, innovative solutions need to be explored that will help recycle and transform plastics for good use. Executive Director of Circular Economy Innovation Partnership, Dr. Natalie Brinsink, stated that proper waste disposal was essential in ensuring the transformation of plastic waste to wealth, noting that innovative grassroots programs can help low and middle income earners to increase their income through the collection of plastics and transporting to waste centers that provide money or incentives for waste exchange. Minister of Housing and Urban Development Ahmed Dangewa has announced the federal government's plan to enhance cooperation with the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners (NITP) to advance efforts aimed at achieving a more sustainable housing and urban landscape. The minister made this commitment during a meeting with the leadership of the institute on Thursday at the ministry's headquarters in Abuja. Dangewa emphasized the significance of effective urban and regional planning, highlighting that the institute's contributions and the expertise of its members would play a pivotal role in the ministry's endeavors to construct livable, respectable, and sustainable cities and communities. He further underscored the Institute's vital role in shaping the physical, social, and economic development of cities and communities, emphasizing the importance of expertise in spatial planning, environmental management, and infrastructural development to ensure well-structured urban areas that meet the needs of citizens. The Nigerian Cricket Federation (NCF) has donated playing equipment to all 13 participant states, including host Delta, in the cricket event of the 2023 National Youth Games. NYAG, which hold from September 21st to 30 in Asaba, Delta State. Items donated are 30 junior battling gloves, 10 junior batting pads, 5 junior wicket-keeper gloves, 30 youth bats, and 40 youth gloves. The board also donated 18 packs of balls to ensure its smooth execution of the event, which will be played in 3 formats of 1 day, 15 overs, T20 and 6-a-side. This timely intervention is in line with the first of the 5 key strategic pillars of development by the board of the NCF, which is promoting the game of cricket at all levels, male and female, through grassroots development in the 6 geopolitical zones. This donation will ensure that participating states have standard equipment to facilitate the tournament and also take back home, which in turn guarantees that these states now possesses the right equipment to continue training for their youngsters, especially with the national U17 Under-17 championship in sight. NCF said in a statement obtained by our correspondent. The NCF added that other equipment expected as part of the donations include more junior pads, helmets, and high and tie guards. General Manager of the Ondo State Sports Council, Henry Babatunde, said the state will not deviate from its culture of using homegrown talents as they take part in the 7th edition of the National Youth Games (NYG), which begins on Saturday in Asaba, Delta State. Babatunde noted that Team Ondo had decent outings in the past and will be striving for more medals with their expanded contingent for this year's edition. According to him, the athletes will be supported by 25 coaches and 10 organizing secretaries who will serve as officers and medical personnel. The Ondo contingent arrived in Asaba Thursday ahead of the opening ceremony on Saturday. And as we end Global TV's News Express, we bring you a summary of our top stories. President Tinubu has expressed his resolve to take tough decisions even if they make him unpopular. The Governorship Tribunal in Plateau State has affirmed PDP's Mufwang governor and dismissed APC's petition. Also, Kenyan President Ruto has highlighted global challenges while urging world leaders to take decisive action. And finally, we told you Nigeria Cricket Federation donates equipment to states. And that's it on Global TV News Express, and it came to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. One Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us across social media platforms using our Global TV NG and other handles now showing on your screen. I am Chidima Jaresen, thanking you so very much for watching. Have a good evening.